The Indiana Fever are collecting WNBA rivals like infinity stones. The league announced its first ever Rivals Week. Obviously, this is just good promotion, but they've got some involvement with Caitlin Clark and the Fever in a couple of games. It's got Angel Reese in the sky against Clark and the Fever. They, they have those two teams playing 5 times this season, so you know that the league is leaning into that rivalry. And there's a history between Clark and Reese, and there is increased interest when the Fever play the Sky. There's no doubt about it. When it's not nonsense discourse amongst fans and pundits, that's a fun basketball showdown for sure. And then the Wings and the Fever in that week in August also play. So it's Paige Beckers against Caitlin Clark. And that makes sense given Paige Beckers is a guard and given she's the next number one pick after Caitlin Clark in succession. So you bring that matchup up as well. There's other games on the schedule, including the Lynx and the Liberty, a rematch of last year's final. But whenever you're trying to get attention, there's a common denominator, and that's Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. So you got Paige Beckers, you got Angel Reese, the Sky, the Wings, and sometimes, with all these national TV games, it feels like it's the Fever versus everybody. But that's just smart marketing. I mean, that makes sense from the WNBA's point of view. There's no real reason to be mad about that or take that for anything else other than it is. It's a commercial partnership. They got a sponsor. Ally Financial is the sponsor. Kathy Engelbert, the commissioner, talked about it during an unveiling of the press conference. So it's not, this is just the NBA has done it in the past as well. Sometimes this stuff might feel novel for the WNBA because it hasn't had the same promotional deals and the like. And, obviously Caitlin Clark was a rookie last year. So was Angel Reese. And Paige Beckers is a rookie this year. But this is all good stuff for the sport. Like if Paige and Caitlin are compared from a basketball standpoint and people are hyped when they play each other, that's great. If Clark and Reese remains a thing for the rest of their careers and people are extra excited when they play, that's great too. It's when, the Clark and the Reese thing took on all the other racial dynamics that people talked about. And then obviously the fans got involved and they still are involved. And that's going to happen with fans too. You can't really control that. Supporters of one player are going to, support that player and unfortunately sometimes trash the other player. But that doesn't need to be the case. And I think whenever there is good-spirited rivalries, competitive rivalries in sports become more interesting. And I think people would lie if they were to say that, the games against the Sky were just as anticipated as a game against, some other team on the schedule. Same thing goes with the Wings. And I've included the Aces in that group because I think that the Fever lost all their games to the Aces last year. So you want to see how they measure up this year. You want to see how Caitlin Clark does, even though it's not head-to-head, position-wise, but measures up with Asia Wilson when they're both on the court at the same time. Same thing would go for the Liberty, the defending champs. How do they stack up with the defending champs? Though I don't think there's as much of a rivalry aspect there. But it would be a lie to say people aren't more excited to see the Fever against the Sky or more excited to see the Fever against the Wings this season. So the WNBA might as well lean in.